Be me. I'm 24, first real job out of college, marketing assistant at a mid-size firm. Low pay, long hours, but I brag about being independent. I share an apartment with my two closest friends, Rachel and Maya. They're joining my team at the firm next week, so we'll be working together. Every Friday we meet at the same cafe near campus. Dusty blinds, carved up tables, half-finished study notes everywhere. Rachel scrolling through her DMs, loud sigh. Why do guys send check-in texts back to back? It's pathetic. Maya nodding, smirking, clingy energy. One reply and they never stop. I stir my latte, tapping the spoon against glass. If a man collapses over silence, that's natural selection. Women don't owe mid-tier guys their attention. They laugh, clink iced coffees like it's scripture. Context on me and the guys. Met Tony at a work mixer through a friend of a friend. He's older, confident, always late to text back, always a little distracted. Handsome in that careless way, collared shirts wrinkled, cologne fading but strong enough. Reputation. Fun but not faithful. Rachel once said she heard he cheats, but I just shrugged. If other girls want him, that proves he's worth wanting. His scarcity feels like power. Every short text feels like a win. Mark is different. Met him in Econ Group Project senior year. He carried the whole spreadsheet when I ghosted. Now we both work at the same office. He does the thankless stuff, fixing printers, covering shifts, small polite check-ins. Keeps track of who skips lunch, buys extra coffee just in case. In my head, that makes him invisible, like background noise. Next to Tony's hot and cold chaos, Mark feels heavy, too available. Phone buzzes on the cafe table. Tony. Hey, sorry, was working out. I light up instantly, grinning at my reflection in the window. Fingers tap, quick reply, whole mood shifts. Just beneath it, another notification. Mark. Hey, just checking in. Haven't seen you this week. Hope you're okay. Sent at 2:14 a.m. I swipe it away, unopened. To Rachel and Maya. See? Answer a guy like that once and you're stuck in emotional tech support. Rachel smirks. Tony gives you 5 words and you melt. Mark gives you 5 essays and you gag. Maya adds, that's the difference between men women want and men who just orbit. I laugh too, relieved they get it. I scroll Tony's short thread again, dopamine hit every time. Tell my friends, guys like Tony deserve attention. They've earned it. Average guys like Mark just take up space. We laugh, clinking coffee cups like a toast. I leave with Tony's chat open, Mark's unread bubble buried at the bottom. Barely slept last night, kept replaying Tony's on the way text in my head. Meeting him tonight, first time in weeks, it won't just be a couch and drinks. Actually gonna be out, in public, where other girls can see who picked me. Next morning, dragging myself through shift at the office. Grey cubicles, same boring place. Mark's already there, sorting paper trays, sleeves rolled up. Nods when I walk in, polite smile. I barely nod back, distracted checking if Tony texted yet. Rachel had texted me earlier. Still on for drinks tonight. She meant me and Tony, but added, Loki think you should bring Mark too, LOL. I replied with a skull emoji. Break room now, refilling my water bottle. Maya texted in the group chat, dead serious. Let Mark come. Let him see what a guy girls actually want looks like. Rachel added, it's not mean, it's educational. I laughed at first, but the thought stuck. Mark walks in behind me, goes to grab tea from the cupboard, asks, big weekend plans? Voice soft, like he already expects me not to answer. I flip my phone face down, shrug. Meeting up with some friends tonight. He nods. Cool, hope it's fun. Hesitates for a second, like he wants to ask something else. I remember Rachel's line. Let him see what a guy girls want looks like. Turn to him, casual voice. Actually, you should come. It's just drinks. He blinks. With your friends? I smirk. Yeah, and a few people from work. No big deal. He looks down at his tea bag, nods quickly. Sure. Yeah, that sounds nice. Doesn't know he's walking into a social car crash. Text Rachel. He said yes, LOL. She sends 3 fire emojis. Maya. Get ready to watch him glitch when Tony shows up. I don't reply, but I'm smiling. Deep down, I want to see it. Him trying to act normal while someone like Tony talks to me. Want him to feel that gap, so he stops pretending it doesn't exist. Afternoon shift ends. I avoid talking to Mark again. Don't want to overlead. In my head, I'm doing him a favor. A graceful humiliation. Maybe this'll be the push that helps him stop. Later that night, Tony texts, "On the way. You bring your friends?" I smile, type, "Yeah, it's a group thing tonight. Don't mention Mark. Want it to be a surprise." In my head, I rehearse how it'll go. Tony throws an arm around me, casual grin, Mark watching, smile faltering a bit, sipping something cheap and quiet. Rachel and Maya hyping Tony, ignoring Mark. Me, somewhere between them, acting like it's all normal, like he should have known. Arrive at the bar, string lights and loud Friday chatter. Rachel and Maya already at a high table, drinks half finished, scoping the room. They wave me over, smirking. "He texted yet?" Rachel asks, meaning Tony. I flash my screen. "Parking now." Maya grins. "Perfect. Mark get the invite?" I nod. "Said he's coming." Seemed nervous. Mark shows up first, 15 minutes early, white button down tucked into jeans, slightly too formal, carrying a small six-pack like he thought this was more casual. Walks up slow, shoulders slightly hunched. Rachel sees him and mutters, "God, he even walks like he apologizes." "Hey," he says with a soft smile, shifting the beers awkwardly. I nod. "You made it." "Thought you might bail." "Wasn't sure if it was a real invite." He laughs, trying to sound casual. Maya gives him a tight smile, gestures to a stool half turned away from the table. He sits gingerly, putting the six-pack under the table. Rachel doesn't touch it, just eyes him up and down. "Didn't know it was BYOB." Mark chuckles awkwardly, rubs the back of his neck. Figured it was polite." Nobody responds. Bartender goes up to him and says he'll have to pay extra corkage for bringing outside drinks. Tries to make conversation with Maya, mentions a funny thing their manager said at work. She glances at her phone while he's mid-sentence. Rachel cuts in loud. "Ugh, Tony just texted. He's coming in hot." I laugh. Heart rate spikes. Mark trails off, quietly takes a sip from his glass. Tony walks in like he's in a different movie. Tight black shirt, chain, swagger in every step. Walks straight to me, wraps an arm around my waist. "You look insane," he murmurs in my ear. Kisses my cheek like we've done this 100 times. Mark glances up and immediately looks back at the table. Tries to smile, but it's tight. Hands fidgeting with the label on his drink bottle. His leg bounces under the stool, not from rhythm. It's restless. Rachel practically purrs. "Tony, you're late." Maya scoots closer to him, flipping her hair. Tony doesn't even notice Mark. Throws out a lazy yo in his direction, like addressing a bartender. Mark nods back, silent, shrinking more into himself. Tony launches into a story about some girl at his gym. Rachel and Maya are eating it up. I laugh louder than I mean to. Mark tries to chime in once. "Was it the Golds, on 7th? I used to go there." Tony talks right over him, doesn't even pause. Rachel says, "Let the man cook, Mark," like she's being playful, but it lands like a slap. Mark forces a laugh, sips his drink. I notice the tips of his fingers are red from picking at the label. His eyes keep scanning the group, like he's trying to find a moment he can step into. There's never one. He tries again, 10 minutes later. Maya mentions sushi. He says, "Oh, there's a great place near the office, if you like spicy tuna." Rachel cuts in before he can finish. "You still eat alone, Mark?" He blinks, caught off guard. "I mean, sometimes?" "Not always," Maya adds with a smirk. "Bet you bring spreadsheets to dinner, too." Rachel laughs way too loud. He chuckles, plays along, but something in his face folds a little. He looks down into his drink again, flicks a piece of paper from the beer bottle, starts rolling it between his fingers, classic Stim behavior, tries to steady his breathing through his nose. In my head, I'm like, he'll be fine, he needs this. Rachel takes a pic of Tony and me. "Say less, you two look elite." Tony doesn't look at the camera, just says, "Send that." Mark looks like he wants to vanish. He stares at his phone for a second, like he might text someone. Screen's off. I lean back, whisper to Maya. He's not even hiding it. She nods, eyes locked on Mark. The second-hand embarrassment is crazy. Mark finally stands up, says, "Gonna use the restroom?" His voice cracks slightly at the end. No one really replies. As soon as he's out of earshot, Rachel, "Bruh, it's like watching a puppy limp through traffic." Everyone laughs, including me. Deep down, I feel warm, not from guilt, but from control, like I own the air he's trying to breathe. He comes back a few minutes later, eyes a little red, maybe from washing his face too hard, maybe not. He sits, fake smiles, doesn't touch his drink. From here on, he just listens like he's not really here. Tony eventually stretches and says, "I'm going to step out for a smoke," grabs his vape and nudges me. "Come?" I grab my bag instantly. "Be right back." We leave the table, his hand on my back. Mark doesn't look up. As we walk toward the patio, I glance back. Mark's sitting still, hands clasped, bottle untouched in front of him, like he's waiting for a bus that won't come. Rachel and Maya have already turned to each other, backs slightly angled away from him, his shoulders slouched deeper every second. Outside on the patio with Tony, bar noise muffled. He scrolls between drags, barely listening, nods toward the door. "That guy your co-worker?" I shrug. "Yeah." "Mark?" He just kinda follows Tony, pockets the vape. "Don't feed strays." I smile like that's wisdom. Back inside, Mark's standing with his jacket. Rachel and Maya, still mid-convo, backs half turned. Mark clears his throat. "Hey, I'm gonna head out. Early morning." Rachel. Maya. "Night." He turns to me. "Thanks for inviting me." Me. Soft smile, I don't mean. "Yeah, see you Monday." He leaves the six-pack under the table and walks out alone. Rachel cracks a can. "Party favors from Sadness." Tony sips. "Tastes like 9 to 5. We laugh. The weird feeling passes fast. 1:11 a.m., back at the apartment. Mark texts, "Hey, sorry I left early. Had something to take care of. Was that your boyfriend?" I screenshot to the girls. Named Rachel. "He's still thinking about it, LMAO. Maya. Say you're taken by better options." I don't reply to him. Phone face down, sleep fine. Monday, office hums. I ask front desk, "Mark in?" Receptionist. "Called out? Sounds like weather." Later, copy room, a tall guy frees a paper jam, one-handed. Glances over. "You were out with Mark, right?" Me. Neutral. "Group thing. He stopped by." "I'm Luis," he says. Late shift with him sometimes. He sets the tray, voice low. "He was excited. Actually excited." Me. "It wasn't a date." Luis doesn't argue. Keeps going like inventory. "His mom died in March. Cancer. He handled hospice alone. Sisters out of state lost their apartment. Studio on Cedar now folds a paper towel, small. Keeps a thermos by the door so he doesn't forget breakfast. Sticky note says, 'Don't forget to eat.' It was his mom's line. My stomach drops. I straighten it out with, 'Everyone's got stuff.' Luis adds, 'Picked up nights at the dock to cover bills. That's why he looks wrecked.' Me staring at my phone. Tony, 'Nothing since busy week?' He bought a shirt that doesn't wrinkle," Luis says. "Practice small talk so he wouldn't freeze." I repeat like a shield. "Not a date." He finally looks at me. He knows. He just wanted to be where laughter was. Then softer. "He's got a soft spot for you. Figured you knew." Machine hums between us. Luis. He texted me 12:40 that night. Left early. Felt weird. She looked happy. I told him to shake it off. He shrugs, tired. He said he would. That's what he always says. Midweek passes grey. Mark no shows again. HR sends a "hope you're well" email. I scroll past. Lunch with Rachel and Maya. They ask about Tony. I show busy week. We call it options and laugh too loud. A quiet part of me looks at the empty seat where Mark used to fix the jam before anyone asked. Friday. Stairwell. Luis looks wrong around the eyes. "You talked to him?" Me. "No." "He called at 3 a.m. yesterday," he says. Asked what time the buses stop. Told him they don't. Not really. Offered the couch. He said he didn't want to bother. I default to the spell. He'll be back Monday. Luis hums without agreeing. "If you see him, tell him I'm around." That night, lying in bed, scrolling. Mark's name keeps popping up in my brain like a bad push notification. What if he took it personally? What if he thought I was cruel? Shove the thought down. Guys can't be that fragile, right? I remember Luis saying he'd been excited all week. Replay Mark's awkward smile, the six-pack he left behind. Stomach twists for half a second. I sit up, type, half a message. "Hey, you good?" Then delete it. Would have just let him on anyway. Tell myself, men always want praise for the bare minimum. Buying cheap beer, showing up, being polite. Why should I reward that? Isn't it better he learns women don't coddle anymore? Still, something nags. Rachel's voice in my head. He's background noise. Maya's laugh. Don't feed that. My own words, women don't owe mid-tier guys attention. I cling to them like a mantra, like if I repeat them enough, it erases any responsibility. I turn my phone face down, feel weirdly righteous, like silence is a kind of progress. Convince myself he'll bounce back stronger. That's what men do. Monday again. Front desk mentions a welfare check over the weekend. Someone came by the office asking questions. I nod like it's small talk, not connecting dots, until Luis appears at my desk, eyes rimmed red, knuckles white where he's gripping the doorway. You got a minute? I slide out of my chair, a bit annoyed. What's up? He doesn't meet my eyes, looks at the floor. I went by Mark's place on Saturday, he says slowly. Landlord let me in. He hadn't answered anyone all day. What do you mean? I blurt. Like he moved out? Left a note? Luis swallows. No, they found him in the bathroom. It looked like he took pills, I say. What? He took his life? Luis nods. Police were there. Paramedics. They pronounced him at the scene. For a second I don't hear anything else. The building hums in a different key. When? Saturday evening, he says. Landlord called a welfare check when no one answered. Families being notified, sisters flying in. Officer Bennett was there. Landlord opened the door. Paramedics checked for a pulse. Phone was on the desk. Luis leans in and tells me the part that feels like someone pulling a thread I didn't know was there. His phone had a few unsent drafts, and the last outgoing texts were short. An apology, a take care kind of thing. I don't ask who they were to. I don't want the answer, and I already hear it anyway. One of them might be me. HR sends an all-staff email half an hour later. Subject line, important announcement. Body is 3 paragraphs, sterile corporate grief. We are saddened to inform you that a member of our department has passed away. Out of respect for the family's privacy, details will not be shared. Resources are available through EAP. They don't even put his name, like his existence is already being redacted. My stomach flips, but everyone else just stares at screens. 10 minutes later, my manager calls a meeting in the big conference room, stands at the front, hands folded like he's holding a script. We want to remind everyone mental health is as important as physical health. If you're struggling, please reach out. He pauses after every sentence like he expects applause, mentions counseling, hotlines, safe spaces, but it all sounds like bullet points stolen from a PowerPoint deck. People nod politely, some tear up, one person even claps quietly, but then someone checks Slack on their phone under the table. When the meeting breaks, the office splinters into little clusters, whispering by the water cooler, bathroom, stairwell. Rumors circulate, no one knows the details. Rachel corners me by the vending machine, eyes wide. Did you know? Did you see him that night? I freeze, default to self-defense. I saw him, but he seemed fine. Rachel nods, but it feels like she's studying me, waiting for a slip. I change the subject before she can ask more. Maya tries to soothe in her way, says, "We don't own other people's choices, right?" You can't blame yourself for that. Rachel nods fast, like she wants confirmation more than truth. They're basically handing me a script. Not your fault, not our business. I want to believe them, but there's a weight in my chest that doesn't budge, like someone dropped a stone and walked away. By afternoon, HR sets up a grief counseling session in the break room. A folding circle of chairs, tissue boxes, and a volunteer counselor with kind eyes. People go in groups of 2 or 3, sit, talk for 5 minutes, come out looking practiced. Some sniffle, others check their phones before the door even closes behind them. I stand outside the doorway, debating going in, then walk away. Feels like a performance I'm not ready to audition for. Luis finds me before I escape, leans close, voice low. He was excited you invited him. Kept saying he wanted a night where he could just laugh. His face is steady, but his hands fidget with his ID badge. He really had a soft spot for you. The words hit me like ice water. I stammer, I didn't know, but it sounds less like grief and more like an excuse, because I did know pieces, just never wanted to connect them. By the end of the day, inbox fills with logistics. Company memo about funeral leave, email from HR confirming next of kin has been contacted, even a CC from an officer about property collection. It all looks so procedural, like death is just another task to file. Rachel texts, "You okay? Want to go out later? Be loud so we don't have to feel this." I type, "Yeah," without thinking, because silence feels heavier than pretending, because tomorrow everyone will be back at their desks, because Tony still hasn't texted, and Mark's name sits unread in my phone like a bruise I don't want to touch. Still don't think I contributed or had anything to do with this. In fact, I gave him more life, didn't I? His motivation in life was keeping me happy. I guess I'm sad I won't have that around anymore.